Hmm. What if you had to work 40 hours a week, but you didn't get paid for it? That right there is what a college athlete does. Your average college athlete typically spends around 40 hours a week either playing games, practices, workouts, other activities like team bonding and stuff like that. So they end up losing a majority of the time working on their academics, and just getting their homework done and getting good grades in class to be able to continue to participate on that team. Um, it's actually had some North Carolina student athletes actually had lawsuits against their school for them depriving them of a meaningful education, and they actually ended up winning that. Um, and in 2010, there was a study for how much tip each baseball or like each program spent on the like hours a week. For baseball programs, they spent around 42 hours a week. Men's basketball spent around 40. The football program spent around 43, and women's basketball spent 38 hours a week. Uh, Most people would say the counter argument to this would be that all the students are given scholarships to that pay for their education and for them to go there and etc. And that's part of that's a good point in a way. Uh, there are some athletes out there that are talented enough to get full rides, which are complete scholarships, which pay for their room, board, pretty much everything they need. But they still will need money for if they go get food, like if they need food and stuff. But it pays for the majority of the cost in college. But each college team has a limit on how many scholarships they can give out. Baseball programs typically only get around 12, and each baseball team has around 50 some players if you end up adding up like the pitchers and all that those players. Uh, so not really typically there are not many people who get full rides unless there's the most sport the only sport that gives out the most full rides is football, but they still end up having 50 some players too, and most of them are walk-ons who have to pay for everything and end up missing time for class and getting work done. And pretty much everything you need to be able to continue to play that sport. Um, Another thing is that the NCAA makes millions off the students for set events like the College World Series for baseball, all the bowl games for football, and NCAA tournament March Madness, as it's also known for basketball. March Madness, during that time, the NCAA makes around $900 million off the basketball players, and during this time, these students are missing weeks of work, especially if they're on the team that wins it all. They miss about a month in classes, and typically teachers probably aren't very lenient with understanding with why they are missing. Typically, the teachers won't help them. They're still just your average students, so it's not like the teacher can't give them extra time to help them catch up, so they end up missing all those classes. And some of these players aren't even playing, so they're missing time where they could be working on their schoolwork, where they have to go to practice, playing games, have workouts, etc. And in closing, I think that college athletes work far too hard and far too much for them to not get compensation. They end up working hours a week, and they work almost 6 days a week just to get better, and they end up missing a lot of class time for games and other things. And I just feel like it's not fair for them to not get any sort of money, especially when the NCAA is making millions off of what they're doing. Thank you.